Hey guys, Kevin Gaspar for Doctor Who Series 9, Episode 3, Under the Lake. And I was definitely looking forward to this episode, especially because this season so far has been really great. And while I didn't think this episode was as good as the past two, and I don't think this story overall is going to be nearly as interesting, I still really enjoyed this episode. It wasn't the most compelling episode of Doctor Who. I've definitely seen more compelling episodes. I thought this was a pretty good one, though, and definitely it'll probably all pay off in the second part of next week's episode. But this first part, I didn't find to be as interesting as I wanted it to be, but I still thought it was a pretty great episode, and I still obviously really enjoyed it. Really, my only complaint is we really didn't continue anything from last week. I want to see more of the Missy storyline, but I'm sure we'll see more of that as the season goes on. We'll have to see, but I hope they try to do more with that. But basically, this episode focused on the Drum, which is this underwater mining facility in Scotland in the future. It takes place in 2119, and the crew is basically investigating this mysterious ship that has appeared in the facility, and they're basically arguing over who it belongs to and what to do with it. I mean, it's obviously a very interesting scenario because, you know, there's this mysterious ship, they have no idea where it goes, and there's writing scrawled into the inside wall of the ship, and the ship then fires its thrusters, and it traps one of the crew members, Moran, in the flames, and safety protocols are initiated, and the remaining crew leave the main hangar before it locks down, and outside, two ghosts, and one of those ghosts is now Moran, because he just died. They await them, and basically these ghosts, for whatever reason, are haunting this ship, and we don't know why. So we pick up 3 days later, and the TARDIS can be heard, and I thought that was a very good intro, by the way. I thought that was very strong and very compelling, because we don't know who these people are, we don't know why this is happening, and it just gets us really interested. I definitely really love that. So we pick up 3 days later, and the TARDIS can be heard materializing on the Drum, and the Doctor is outside, and he asks the TARDIS why it's unhappy, and Clara's eager to keep moving on, but the Doctor wants to know why the TARDIS brought them there. He obviously doesn't know why they're there. They're there for no reason, and the TARDIS doesn't even know why they're there, which I thought was kind of interesting. So Clara and the Doctor investigate the Drum, and basically they're in Desiree, obviously, they apparently were abandoned. They abandoned ship, and they continue into a hall and find the ghosts, and those ghosts are Prentis and Moran, and the ghosts, the effects on them actually looked pretty damn realistic. I thought they looked very realistic. They looked very creepy as well, and definitely very threatening. I was a big fan of the ghosts, definitely. The ghosts approach them, they examine them up close before turning away, and the Doctor and Clara follow the ghosts through the Drum into the hangar with the mysterious ship, and the Doctor notices the writing on the ship's inner wall, and notes that it's odd that the TARDIS hasn't been able to translate it, which obviously that's not normal. The TARDIS is usually able to translate things in seconds, and right now it's not, so clearly there's something going on there. So Moran then picks an axe up off the wall, Prentis takes a harpoon, they attack the Doctor and Clara, but the Doctor and Clara run, and they are able to get away. So the Doctor and Clara hide in a hall, but the ghosts do phase through to them, but the Doctor and Clara run, find a room where the remaining crew are holed up, and the crew lets them inside. So we meet the crew in this episode, and I have to say, some really good characters here. We'll probably never see them again, but I thought the characters overall were pretty good, especially for characters that we'll never see again, most likely. They did a good job of making them interesting. I was worried that these characters are going to be kind of boring and we weren't really going to care, but no, I thought they were all pretty good, I have to say. I enjoyed them for the most part, and basically, the crew asks who they are. The Doctor introduces herself with psychic paper, which tells them that he is with the military. And the crew introduce themselves, and one of the crew members, O'Donnell, is fangirling out, and I thought that was definitely pretty funny. It pretty much goes with, I think, any Whovian if they were to meet, like, someone from Doctor Who. I thought that was definitely pretty funny. And the Doctor, now, I'm not a Whovian by any means, I would not say that, but I definitely really do love this show. But I would not call myself a Whovian, I definitely would not. So, the Doctor gets what information he can from the crew, because obviously they don't fully know what's going on, but they do give him some information, because obviously they want to be able to solve this, and the only way they can is if he gets the information that he needs. So, we meet the crew member, you know, basically the captain of the ship, Cass, and she's actually deaf, which I thought was a really interesting twist. I like that they actually had a deaf captain, something I don't think I've actually ever seen, and basically she's using sign language, and basically her translator tells the Doctor that for some reason the ghosts can't enter this room. they can't go into this room. They can go everywhere else, but not in this room. And Cass says that she's in charge, but Pritchard points out that his company owns the rights to the oil. The drum systems reboot at Morning Dawns, and basically, you can see there's a bit of a power struggle there, but the crew then exits the room, telling the doctor that the ghosts only come out at nights, and obviously there's a reason why, and they don't know what that is yet. So the doctor insists that the ghosts are not ghosts and asks why the crew haven't left yet, because he doesn't believe in ghosts. He doesn't think these are ghosts at all. And Pritchard explains that there's too much money at stake, and the doctor calls him an idiot, goes about investigating the ship further, and he opens a pan in the floor and then asks where the stuff they've taken out is. And the power cell is actually missing from the ship, and so is a suspended animation chamber. So clearly there's something going on here. We don't know what it is, but there's clearly something that these ghosts are doing. So Cass keeps Lon out of the ship, saying it's not safe, and O'Donnell says no one has taken anything out of the ship, and the doctor all of a sudden is floored when he finds out that they're actually dead and now ghosts, because he is, I thought this was probably one of the best moments of the episode, where the doctor was like, oh my god, it's ghosts, and he's freaking out because he's never actually met a ghost, and he's wanted to. I thought that was definitely very funny, and especially the doctor, who usually is very calm and very reserved and things like that. These little moments throughout the season where we're seeing him turn into basically a little boy is very funny. I definitely really like seeing that, and I thought that was definitely something that was very funny, because we didn't see that last season. I do agree with people that that's one of the things that makes Peter Capaldi an even better doctor this season. Last season, he was completely serious, he never really had anything, but now, this season, every so often, he will kind of fanboy, which I thought was pretty funny, and the fact that he was fanboying that hasn't seen a ghost, I thought that was definitely pretty funny that we saw that. But the crew does remind the doctor that Moran was their friend, and that he should be taking this more seriously, because he's not, and Clara then passes him a card to recite to express grief to them, but the doctor can't hide his courtesy, and, she's confused because a minute ago he said he wasn't, he didn't believe in ghosts, and now he's giddying like a schoolgirl, as she put it, and basically the lights go out around the drum as it suddenly re-enters night mode, and obviously now they know that the ghosts are going to come out, because the ghosts only come out at night, so they know this is not safe, and the TARDIS begins making a sound, and the doctor and Clara run back to it, and he realizes that the TARDIS wants to get away from the ghost, so that's why the TARDIS was kind of upset, and so he puts the handbrake on, and I like how the TARDIS was actually a character in this episode. That was interesting, and Clara's eager to get back to the adventure, and the doctor tries to tame her enthusiasm. She expresses appreciation, and they get back to it, and basically Pritchard comes back from an excursion outside to search for the missing power cell. He's greeted by the ghosts, and Moran seems to be trying to say something to Pritchard. We don't really know what he's trying to say, but, he's a ghost, but he is still one of the crew members, so he knows something that's going on. And then he opens the hatch to dump Pritchard outside without his helmet, and that was definitely very interesting. I thought they were going to kill this guy, but they didn't, and Bennett then expresses his desire to work for Unit 2 Clara, and obviously they very much respect them for that, and everyone's looking for Pritchard, who suddenly appears in the room with Clara and Bennett, and they then see Pritchard's body floats into the window outside, and Pritchard turns to show his ghostly visage as the doctor and other crew members arrive, and Pritchard grabs a chair to attack just as O'Donnell turns the day mode on, and luckily that obviously means they're safe. The ghosts won't come out then. So the doctor tells them that the ghosts are learning to use the base against them, and I thought that was definitely very interesting, the way that the ghosts were using, what they use and doing what they can do, using that against them. I thought that was definitely very funny. So Cass is saying that they should probably just abandon the drum, and the doctor and Clara plan to investigate further, and, while that would be a good plan, they obviously need to figure out what's going on here, because if they abandon the drum, that's not going to accomplish anything, and while it may accomplish something for them, the Doctor and Clara are there for a specific reason, and they're not going to get back home unless, they're not going to go to where the TARDIS wants to go unless they figure out what's going on here. So, O'Donnell makes a call for a rescue sub, only to find that a rescue request has already been made, and the doctor grabs the phone, tells him to send the submarine back, and that the drum is under quarantine, and he figures that the ghosts ordered the ship with Morse code because they went off the drum, and basically the doctor tells O'Donnell to the drum back into night mode, to put the drum back into night mode so they can figure out what these ghosts want. And obviously they don't want to do this, but the only way they're going to figure out what the hell is going on is for them to turn back into night mode. So Bennett draws out the ghosts, and the doctor gives Clara instructions on where to lead them, and she leads them on the chase towards Lund, who will lead them to a room with a flood door, and the ghosts then split up, and Moran and Prentis follow Clara while Pritchard chases Lund, and Clara finds a flood door and hides behind it, and Lund does the same, but Pritchard saw him go in and follows, and Pritchard gets close to Lund, grabs a large wrench off the wall, then leaves, dropping the wrench behind him, and the other two ghosts are around the corner from Bennett. I like how the crew is trying to do whatever they can to get away from these ghosts. He leads them out again. Pritchard joins the case, and they see a hologram of Clara in the room. They couldn't enter before, and inside after her, and the door is closed behind them, and Cass says she can't see the ghost through the glass for whatever reason. The doctor now just is outside the room. And this is very much like the ghosts won't go to that specific room. For whatever reason, the ghosts are just not going there. So the doctor has him open the door so he can go inside, and Moran puts a hand in the doctor's chest, but he is unimpressed. It's obviously not going to harm him. And that I thought was definitely very interesting that we saw that. Because, if you put a hand in his chest, usually that would go right through, but nothing really harms the doctor. You would think that he might have hurt the doctor, but no, the doctor's completely harmless here. So, of course, the doctor's a very powerful being, so obviously this means nothing to the doctor. So he looks through the doctor's sonic sunglasses, and Cass reads the ghost's lips, and they're there. They are all repeatedly saying that the dark, the sword, the forsaken, the temple, and they don't know what this means. And the doctor realizes that the message is actually coordinates. The dark means space, the sword is Orion's sword hanging from his belt, the fourth part of the sword is the earth, the forsaken are the dead they're using to resonate and send their message further, and the doctor realizes that this means someone is doing this purposely, and he doesn't know who it is, but clearly there's someone doing this, and Cass asks what the temple is, and the doctor says that it's the church in the city outside the drum. So whatever the coordinates are pointing to is in that church, and I like the way he was able to connect this all together. So the doctor gives them the choice to stay or leave, and Cass says she'll stay, that it's her responsibility, which is probably the safest thing to do. Obviously, you need someone there to keep them all calm, and he's obviously not going to set all the crew members to go with him. I like how he gave them a choice. He's not like, okay, you guys come with me, you guys stay here. They know what they're doing, and that's the thing I like, is that they know what they're doing just as much as the doctor does. Even though the doctor's there to investigate, they can handle this. Like, they know what they're doing. This is their ship. They are, intelligent. They know what they're doing there, and I like to give them a choice there. So the rest of the crew decides to go with the doctor, and Dr. Clara and the crew send out a drone sub to investigate the city, and Bennett pilots and finds the church, because obviously what they need is in that church, and basically, the coordinates are pointing to is in that church, and there they find the suspended animation chamber that was missing from the ship. It's right there. And why it's here, we don't know. Why is it in this church? What does the church have to do with any of this? That's kind of what I want to know at this point. So the doctor says the ship's pilot should be inside, but he has a feeling that the ship's pilot isn't inside, and he re-examines the markings inside the ship, wondering why they're not translated, and he asks Cass what's the weirdest thing about all this, and she says that the markings are the weirdest thing. And he says that they're not just words, they're magnetic forces that rewrite the synaptic connections in their brains, and they're embedding the coordinates into their brains so they keep humming it, and even after they die, while whatever put the message there slumbers in the suspended animated chamber. So there's something in that animation chamber, and they don't know what it is yet. So basically, at the end of the episode, a computer malfunctions, causes the drum to begin flooding, and the doctor leads the crew towards the TARDIS, floods doors shut along the way, trapping O'Donnell and the doctor and half the crew on one side. Obviously, this is not safe, and Clara and the rest are on the other side, and the doctor tells Clara that he's gonna have to go back in time to when the spaceship lands so that he can understand what's happening, because it is confusing. He has no idea what's going on, and the TARDIS embarks, and Clara, Cass, and Lund see another ghost outside, basically, because Clara can tell there's something outside, and we realize, and this was a very interesting cliffhanger, that the ghost is none other than the doctor himself, and that's basically how the episode ends. Now, why the hell the ghost is the doctor, we don't know. The doctor, there's some reason why this is going on here. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I don't know why the ghost is the doctor, but there's definitely something going on there. And I really like that twist because the best two-part Doctor Who episodes are the ones where he challenges himself, and it kind of is about himself and how the greatest villain is himself. And again, the villain is the Doctor here. He's kind of his own villain, and I really like seeing that. It really goes with the theme of this season that I definitely am really enjoying. And this episode, I really like how they're putting all these episodes into 2 parts, because this episode, I think, would have been really bad if it was 1 part. There was a lot of information to explain. They really need to put this in 2 parts, and I thought it was very smart of them to do that, and I thought that was definitely a very good idea that they ended up putting this into 2 parts like they did. But there's a lot to wonder, definitely. There's a lot of questions. Not as many as the past 2 episodes, but there are definitely some questions here. First of all, why is the Doctor doing this? Why is this going on? What does this have to do with the Doctor? And how is the drum connected to the Doctor? That really is what I want to know. What's going on with that? There's clearly something going on there. Why is the TARDIS afraid of these ghosts? What does the TARDIS have to do with this? I feel like there's something going on with the TARDIS as well. And in that animation chamber, what exactly is in there? There's clearly something very important in that animation chamber, and it seems like the only way they're going to defeat the ghosts is to find out what's in there, and we don't know what it is yet. And how's the church connected to this as well? Why did the ghosts put it in this temple? We don't know why that's going on either. There are just a lot of questions to ask, and I really like it when Doctor Who leaves you asking a lot of questions, because that's exactly what this episode did. I'm asking a lot of questions. I don't really know what's going to happen. Cass staying at, Cass staying at the place they were at. What would you call it? What do you call it? Cass staying where they were. I don't know if that's going to be safe. I don't know what's going to happen there, but obviously Clara's the one that knows what's going on, and the others don't, because they went to the temple, so they're in danger now, definitely, and this is not going to end well for someone. I would not be surprised if someone dies next week, definitely. I think someone's going to die, but like I said, I really like the crew members overall. I thought they were definitely very interesting, and I didn't think they were going to be, but they were surprisingly very interesting. I definitely really enjoyed that. And it also kind of makes sense now why the Doctor was so happy about seeing this ghost, because he is a ghost, and maybe that's why he was unaffected by the ghost. And if he is a ghost, why is he a ghost, and why is this going on? And, why are they affecting why is the Doctor connected to all this? That very much is what we need to know now. There's a lot of information that they haven't told us yet, and I'm very interested in seeing, what's going on here, because, and the other thing I really like I said, is how the Doctor did get involved with this, but the crew is getting just involved, and there's clearly something going on with that as well. Moran and Pritchard, Moran and, the other ghost, what's the other ghost's name? What's the other ghost's name? Prentis. What is going to happen with Moran and Prentis? Because clearly this is the Doctor's creation. The Doctor is the ghost, who, by the way, looks very creepy as the ghost and looked awesome. From what we saw of him, he looked awesome. I can't wait to see what's going on there. What is the Doctor going to find out about the spaceship? He went back in time, of course, to find out what's going on there, so that's going to be interesting as well to see what we find out with that. But like I said, this wasn't as compelling of a first part as The Magician's Apprentice, or even Dark Water for that matter. But those episodes felt like finales, and remember, that was the finale, and that was the premiere. This is just another episode of Series 9, so I'm not upset that it wasn't as epic as the first two-parters were, because that's the norm for this season. It's gonna be 2-parters, and I think it's awesome this episode was a 2-parter, because they would have told it as 1 episode, it probably would have been very, forgettable, and this has potential to be a much more memorable episode. I really don't know what's going to happen next week, and I really hope that keeps happening this season, where I don't know what's going to happen, because they keep leaving me not knowing what's going to happen. I wasn't as shocked as I was, but I still thought that was an amazing cliffhanger. I can't wait to see where it goes next week, and that's basically my review. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the Season 2 premiere. I cannot wait for it, but it will be for the Season 2 premiere of the... Actually, no. I will be reviewing the Season 2 premiere of The Affair, but it will probably be scheduled to go up when it premieres, because I'm going to watch it early. But my next review will be for a movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.